Welcome to 100 Units. This is exciting. We got Jan Gonzalez from Orlando, Flooring Gurus. He's done 8,000 apartment units for flooring. So very excited to have you on, Jan.
Yes, hi. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and happy to be here.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about the best practices for multifamily flooring as one of the most important things. Every single unit has flooring, and it's important that as owners, we're using the best flooring practices and best flooring possible. Jan, give us a quick introduction of yourself and your business.
All right. So, company is Orlando Flooring Gurus. We're obviously based out of Orlando, Florida. Um, I've been in the industry about 10 years, 6 of those in multifamily flooring installations. Our company installs all kinds of flooring in residential and commercial properties. We even refinish hardwood floors, perform bathroom renovations, so, knock them down, put them back up. Anything like wood, engineered wood, tile, ceramic, vinyl, VCT, carpet, rubber, you name it, baseboards, we do it. So that's pretty much it. That's what we do. We're specialized in anything that has to do with floor coverings.
All right, that's exciting. Okay, what everybody wants to know, how you make some money. So what is the best value flooring for multifamily properties?
So because it's multifamily and there's people rent them, they turn over, you got to fix them, whatever. The cheapest, the most value, it looks good and it's the cheapest way to go is the glue down vinyl plank. It's the way that most in apartment owners would just do the glue down. It's not only the material is cheaper, but also the installation cost is also cheaper. But the SPC vinyl, that is the click one that's coming in the market right now, which is stone plastic composite, it's working its way in there. And because of its strength and durability and the waterproof qualities that it has, because it's very different. And when you glue it down and if it gets wet, you have to rip it out. And if the SPC is waterproof, all you got to do is lift it up, dry the area, put it back down.
Wow. I mean, let's face it, sooner or later flooring gets wet. So
Yeah.
that sounds like an excellent thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. It's the cost. I mean, when you're doing your renovations, you just always look at the cost, obviously, and they both look fantastic. And when you have tenants in there, most apartment owners will do the glue down.
So the glue down, because of the cost, it's
Because of the cost.
significant savings.
Correct.
Still at this point.
Correct.
Give or take, what is the savings for the glue down versus the click-in vinyl?
So you're probably looking around $1 or $2 a square foot difference. So
Okay.
which
So it's significant.
It's considerable, yeah.
I mean, that could be $1,000 per unit.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, depends. Yeah.
Right. When an owner is out looking for flooring and they're in this process, what is your best practice recommendation as far as getting quotes and hiring a flooring company to do the flooring installation?
All right. Well, there's a lot of competition out there. The cheapest quote is not always the best one. You want to look at the track records, look at their social media, look at their website. If you can visit some of their work that they have done, go ahead and do so. Ask them for references, phone numbers to verify, with prior customers. If the company is part of an association, they will want to keep a clean reputation because they're part of association and, find out what that is. Like, for example, our company is part of CFRI for real estate investments. So yeah, stuff like that is good to follow up on.
Do you recommend, I mean, the typical recommendation for most is to get 3 quotes. Is it typically worthwhile to do that for, I mean, if you're doing, I don't know, 1 or 2 units every couple of months, so it's not like one huge job, it's just one-offs. Is it still worthwhile to get multiple quotes?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have your established guys that for sure they're going to do it right, you don't have to worry about them anymore. Then yeah, get your 3 quotes. But if you work with somebody that they do good work, their price is not super crazy, then you could just say, hey, look, I need this done, and then they'll just go take care of it. You don't even have to worry about it. As an owner of a multifamily building, that's what you want. You want to be hands off, right? So you just tell your guys to do it, they take care of it, and everything's fine. That's the best thing to do. That's in my opinion.
It's so much easier when you have that. there's a book called Speed of Trust. And when you
Hmm.
have trust with somebody, it makes it so much easier to do business.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
let's go the opposite direction. We've all had horror stories. What are some mistakes? This is not from the contractor side. This is from the owners, the multifamily owners. What mistakes do you see them making? That way we can avoid it.
All right. A lot of times they make price-based decisions without looking deeper into companies' track records. Also, sometimes they assume that there's that all. Let's say we walk into a unit and there's holes all over the place. Maybe the owner assumes that that's all included in the installation. But if there's big, huge gaps and we got to spend extra time and money on those and filling all those gaps, then that's something that would be additional. That's something that they might not think about. Um, and Sometimes demolition surprises. Let's say you bought a used multifamily, right? And they tiled over tile over tile over tile over tile, right? And then we show up there to do a demo, and then it's not just one layer of tile, maybe there's two or three. And that's extra time. That's it. And then maybe they weren't accounting for that. So then we got to talk about it. It's like, well, I'll be reasonable, but I'll be okay. This is like extra time that we would count on, and then we have to discuss and negotiate on that one.
Do that that's any tile upon, I mean, that's a lot of extra effort. So do you
Mhm.
typically bid jobs like on a per time basis? Or like how do you typically like for your cost? Because your cost obviously are people or labor. So are you
Yeah.
bidding jobs basically on a per time basis, or is it like a per square foot or like what do you typically bid on?
So how it works is it depends on what the job is. So if it is just flooring by itself, like behind me, see those pictures. So that right there is done by the square foot, and in this case, a carpet is done by the square yard. Okay. If the job is really really small, then I got to do it on a per day basis. But if it's just square footage, we'll do that. If it's bathrooms remodels, then what I do is I can't do a square foot because it'll be 110 square feet, 100 whatever square feet. There's no way. So what we do it is on a per day basis. I'll look and see how long do I think is going to take me. So then I round out, I add the materials and everything, and then I come up with the price and I send you the estimate for you to approve.
And when we were just talking about different, tile versus different types of flooring,
Hmm.
what is the process an owner should go through when deciding on a flooring to use?
Hmm. For their multifamily, right? So they want to look at the quality of the material. Not necessarily one thing that people look at and they say, oh, it has a lifetime warranty. Well, if you're in the state of Florida, lifetime warranty is really 7 years. Even if it says 50-year warranty, you could take it to court and it'll be 7 years. So that's just how it's been. But it's good to know, and people get the good feeling that, oh, well, they guarantee it for 50 years, and it feels good about it. But you always want to look at how that product has a track record. Like an example would be there was a specific product. I'm not going to mention the store, but the vinyl plank that's a click plank. It's a little bit. It's got a little bit too much stone in it. So it's a vinyl mixed with stone. So it's an SPC, right? It's got too much stone, so it makes it very hard. So it's almost like imagine ceramic tile without any thin set underneath it. You put it on the floor, let's say you drop something heavy, what happens to the tile? It shatters. So it's the same thing with that vinyl. Unless if you don't have the flooring, and if they'll sell it to you, oh, it's super strong, it's super great, but and you're like, oh, great warranty, wonderful. You buy it, and then you find out that it's not. So you should really ask around, some professionals that can guide you into, products.
That is when do you think it is worthwhile to go ahead and put down, tile flooring versus the like I don't know, LP the luxury vinyl plank?
Well, it's good to have it in once in first floor units, but it's also more expensive, obviously. However, it is longer lasting. It lasts a lot longer than all the other materials. So, I mean, it depends on your budget, really, and what you want to do. If you can afford it, then do it. If you think that it's a little too much because it's going to be more money, but in the investment in the beginning, yes, it's going to be more, but it's definitely going to last you a lot longer.
Okay. And then that brings up first floor units versus second floor units. Obviously, multifamily, one of the issues is second floor units. What is your recommendation for flooring when you're looking at second floor units?
Flooring. Okay, so with flooring, I recommend using vinyl plank or carpet. So in vinyl plank, you have to have an underlayment underneath it so that there's sound transmission that is lower. So there is a standard that is required by the International Building Code is an IIC-STC 50. As long as you're at a 50, you meet the code. If you go higher, like a 60 or a 70, like a 60 is superior soundproofing, a 70 is virtually soundproof. But like again, depends on your substrate. If it's just wood only, then obviously you're gonna hear it more than if it was like a gypcrete, which is like a mixture of a light concrete mixture on the top, and that right there is less.
So you do recommend vinyl plank or something, not tile.
I wouldn't do tile, especially if it's a wood floor, because there's a lot of you have to prepare that wood that substrate with boards, additional like HardieBacker or any kind of board that just to make sure it's a sturdy surface, because you don't want tile to move because it cracks, right? So it has to be completely secured. So the best thing to do in a second story would be vinyl plank or carpet.
Okay.
Unless it's concrete. If it's concrete, if you want to do tile, go for it. It's fantastic.
Okay. That we'll yeah. So then we'll go on to like concrete slab floors, typically on the first floor. Is there a reason to use one type of flooring or the other, or does it make much difference when we're dealing with concrete slabs?
No, not really. There's no difference if you want to use vinyl or tile or carpet over a concrete slab, that's fine. You on the first floor, you always want to put some kind of vapor barrier. So it's like a plastic or a padded vapor barrier that goes underneath the flooring if it's a vinyl or if it's carpet, you have the pad underneath there. Also, and the tile, I mean, you just lay down tile, or you can moisture proof it by there's products out there that you can just paint it and just moisture proof it and just lay it on top like that. So that's either or.
Okay. What about not every floor is perfectly flat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What about like step up, step downs where there's some transitions? What are the things to think about for an owner?
Transitions. So like a step up.
Yeah, because some of them I've seen that are not a real step. They're only like this big, and it's like this. It's just an odd one.
Yeah, I mean, all transitions should always be underneath the door, like literally under the door. So if I close the door and I'm in one side of the room and I look, there's the other floor from the other side of the room is not showing, and vice versa. If I go to the other side, then I shouldn't see the other side of the floor. So it should be completely underneath it. But other transitions that don't have a door or anything like that, there are reducers that come and they can reduce from one floor to the other if they're too high. They come in different sizes. It's just a matter of playing with it to see which one fits the height, finding the correct height, and then just sitting it there so that you have a smoother transition to the other room.
Okay. I didn't know if it was required to do markings or anything like that for transition points.
Markings?
Like, cause some like external, you have to put like yellow markings, and it has to be very clear that it's a transition.
Yeah, like if it was a high step, like
Yeah.
people with yellow or something like that.
Yeah.
If it's inside a unit, as long as it's not too high, then yeah, you should be okay. But in units, normally they're not that high.
Never like that. Okay.
You're not supposed to go any more than like a quarter of an inch.
Okay.
Yeah, quarter. If you go half an inch, it's a little high, but there are transitions that'll fix that.
That'll fit. Okay. That's it. And then we got the old flooring. Obviously, you got to get rid of that. What should you be talking about when you're talking to your flooring guru about how to get rid of old flooring?
Well, when you look at a house, for example, if it's older than 1977, You want to just kind of pay attention to what was installed in there because it could be asbestos tiles. And you don't want to mess with that. You just want to just lay something right over it. Anything older than 1977, you should be fine. Tile demolition, for example, it's if you were going to demo it, it's very, very messy. But there are companies out there that would do like virtually dustless. And it costs a little bit more, but if you wanted to do something like that, that is not so messy all over the place, you can. Other than that, just regular demolition will work. And it all depends on how old the material was, how old the material was installed, that is installed, depending on the removal method, you know.
And
So
is that something that takes some specific skills, or is most flooring removal you could have anybody do it?
for example, you can remove the vinyl that's glued down just fine, just rip it out. But guess what's left over? All that adhesive. So now if you want to put something down underneath it, you got to remove all that adhesive. Now, a lot of times what my guys do is they use floor scrapers and they just scrape that by hand. We do have machines that go in the orbitals, and we just pretty much use that also to get rid of it. But sometimes if the glue's too sticky, it'll get stuck to the machine and it doesn't do anything. So it's better to just go by hand and just scrape the floor. It's a lot of work.
So it sounds like an incredible amount of work.
Yeah.
So have you seen best practices when it comes to colors of floorings? Like, I know a lot of them I'm seeing right now is kind of the gray wood look, but is there other things to be thinking about for owners?
It's the times, whatever the time happens, and all of a sudden somebody likes peach, right? Oh, peach floors, let's do it. Right now, gray seems to be in, so everybody's going with the grays. Also, the walnut tones are actually very popular. So the gray tones and the walnut tones are very popular.
Is there anything to think about as far as installation that makes a difference in coloring, or is it basically just whatever's your fancy?
Well, whatever color you want. You want red, we'll put red in there for you.
Speaking of installation, so we got, when you're going to the kitchen, especially, you got a choice. You can put the flooring in first and then the cabinets, or vice versa. What's the recommendation when you're installing kitchens?
All right. So when you're installing a kitchen, it's recommended to also know what you're going to put in there. So let's say it's a brand new place. I'll just call it a brand new place, right? And you haven't put a kitchen in, it's completely brand new, it's empty, let's say they did a whole demo, everything's cleared. You want to make sure you know what kind of floor you're going to put in there before you put your kitchen in. Because if your kitchen should go in there first, always, okay? But you want to be able to raise it a little bit if your floor is a little thicker, so that way your dishwasher can fit in there, okay? If you don't make room, if you don't account for that, then your dishwasher will not fit. If the thing with cabinets is that you want to make sure they don't move, because there's countertops that go on there, and those sometimes they have seams and they can't move, which means that you should never install a floating floor first and then put your cabinets on top of it, because floating floors move. What's going to happen is that's going to void your cabinet warranty, because now it's moving, and that's not supposed to happen. Okay, so you want to make sure that you install the kitchen countertops first, then your flooring. If you do a floor that's not going to move, like tile, you can install it straight through and put your cabinets on top. But think about this too in the future. When you're going to take that tile out, what's going to happen? That cabinet's still sitting on top of it, right? So now you got to rip all that around it just to try to fit the new tile underneath just a little bit so nobody can see it, but there's still going to be tile underneath there. Yeah.
That is really good insight. I didn't know that about the floating, and it would void the cabinet warranty, but it makes sense. Yeah, because floating floors do move. I mean,
They do.
What happens.
They do. That's what those SPC floors are. The click moves. They all move. You have to allow an eighth of an inch for an eighth or quarter of an inch, depending on the product, for expansion and contraction. So it's all around the whole perimeter. So therefore, they're expecting it to move, right? So if you put your cabinets on top of a flooring floor, what's going to happen? It's going to move. I mean, the countertop is heavy enough that will hold it down. But let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say a kid's coming running and they stop really hard in front of the kitchen cabinets, right? it might just jerk a little bit, right? So because it's a floating floor. So
Ah, see, that's pretty exciting. Yeah. What about so a lot of the owners we talk to and help purchase properties, they're purchasing a property that has not been renovated or touched in 20 years. And they're
mhm,
going in and they're doing a value add renovation. And depending on the class of the property, they're going to pick different types of finishes and how much they're going to do. So
exactly.
let's talk about like an A-class building, and we're doing a renovation to take this thing from 1973 with
Mhm.
beautiful property that it was in 1973, and we're going to make it an A-class property today. What is your flooring and renovation recommendations?
Well, to bring it, it all depends on budget. Again, like I said, there is all the vinyl plank. It will be vinyl plank, obviously. It'll be vinyl plank. It just looks nicer. It's just a matter of what you choose. Is it going to be glued down or is it going to be a floating floor? There's advantages and disadvantages on each. Like I said earlier, the vinyl plank glue down just goes right. You glue it, it goes right down. That's it. If it gets wet, that's the problem. You got to lift those up. You got to scrape the glue, put it back down, and or rip the whole unit out. Sometimes it's not even that good. You can't even use it anymore. You just got to throw all that material away. It all depends on what the material is. There are now SPC glue down vinyl plank that are in the market, and I just saw some recently, and I was pretty shocked that it was glue down, because normally they are for click, and it's exactly the same. It's completely 100% waterproof. So yeah, you could use those, but they're going to cost you a little bit more than the traditional ones, right? So it's always going to be vinyl plank, and normally people put carpet in the bedroom because it's cheaper, and then running vinyl plank all the way through the unit. But when you go in the higher end stuff, you want to try to get carpet out of the way a lot of times, so that you have all flooring completely. Although some people do like carpet on their feet when they get up, in the morning, right? It's just a matter of preference, but yeah, and budget, of course.
So let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Budget is the most important constraint here. We're going to do like
Mhm.
a C-class property, and we're just raising it up one notch to be better than the competitors. What is the most budget friendly type of
Mhm.
flooring to think about?
Um, I would just go with some. I would do a luxury vinyl plank, and it would probably just be a floating vinyl plank, with a good warranty, maybe a 12 mil or an 18 mil, somewhere that's a little bit more budget friendly. And that way it's just completely waterproof, and you just install it, makes it look great. Get your higher baseboards in there. Redo the kitchen, put some granite countertops on there, and yeah, I think that's the way I would go with it.
Okay, let's pretend like I don't know what 18 or 12 mil means.
All right, those are the wear
Because there's
layers.
people out in the Zoom world that don't know what that is. Definitely not because I don't.
Yeah.
What is the difference, the mill that you're referring to, and what difference does it make?
So the lower the millage is the wear layer. So a 12 mil is the standard kind of for apartment complexes. You can go to 18, which is a little bit better. It just lasts longer. And then you can go to 20, 22, or so forth. The higher, the more durable it is. You could, if you go, like, there's certain ones that I just saw the other day. You can take a key and you scratch it like that, and it doesn't scratch it, right? So that's more of a 22 mil. So it's just a wear layer. So the higher the millage, the more money it is, and the longer it'll last you. But there are products like, for example, we sell a lot of an 18 mil, which is decent. It's right in the middle, right? It's decent. It's got a lifetime warranty, so it's great. So if anything happens to the product by factory, something factory related, the manufacturer will replace that.
But not if somebody comes and takes a key and
No,
scratches on it forever. I mean,
somebody scratches it on it, that's not their fault.
but
Yeah.
18 mil right in the middle is pretty durable for multifamily. Is that your
Yeah.
recommended typical?
Yeah, the usual that people install is 12 mil for multifamily, just because they tenants sometimes don't really care and they wreck the places. So if you want to spend the money on something nice, then you don't want to spend too much money. So they go with the 12 mil. And if when the tenant moves out, looks great, great, clean it up and rent it again. But if it's wrecked, then you need to spend that much, you know.
What kind of cost differential between a 20, a 18, and a 12? Just to have an idea.
So it's usually about $1 difference from each other.
$1 per square foot?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Sometimes $1, sometimes $2, depending on the higher material. But
So between 12 and 18, $1 per square foot difference.
yeah, yeah,
And
it's
then
about
an
it's about
18 to
$1 per foot.
20 might be $1 also.
Yeah, it's usually about as you go up, it's about $1 more.
Wow.
It's
And
average, depending on the
I guess
brand.
it's just one of the things to think about with flooring, because the labor cost on flooring, I assume, is basically the same.
The installation is not the same when it comes to glue down, but yeah, the labor is the same. It's by the square foot. Mhm.
So there's the labor more or less with glue down.
It's less with glue down.
So less labor
Yeah,
and less expensive to put down.
correct. It's
Like
less
less
labor
expensive
because
purchase, less expensive labor.
correct. Less expensive labor, less purchase. And the reason for that is we come into the unit, we just do a little bit of prep work, we spread the glue, we wait 10 minutes or whatever, and then we just come in and we just install the whole thing and we're done. So with a click, we prep the floor also, but now we have to lay down the underlayment. So we have to put underlayment all the way through the whole unit, and then we lay it down, and now you have to click it. It's not just laying it down, not just lay. Now it's click, snap, push, and then just keep moving. So it takes longer to install. Make sense?
And so then what typically is the difference? Like if you're quoting the same 1,000 square foot unit, give or take, what's the difference between those two?
On with each other,
Yeah,
on
with each
on the
compared to each other for the
material.
same unit, and they say, hey, look, we want, you know,
Yeah.
it's more
So
just for my own curiosity
it's about $1.50 difference, somewhere around there.
between those two. So it could be $1,500 on 1,000 square foot unit, pretty
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
So you're talking glued down, you're probably talking whatever, $5-6 a square foot installed.
Yeah, about
And
that.
you might be whatever, $7-8 a square foot for the click.
So no, glue down. Oh, you mean with material and
Yeah,
everything?
material, labor, everything.
Yeah, it's about $5-6 depending on material. And with the glue down, it could be about 7, maybe 8 altogether. After you buy all material and everything like that, all inclusive.
So for a give or take 1,000 square foot unit, you should be budgeting whatever, $6-7,000 for flooring to have a
That's an
brand new unit.
average. Yeah, that's an average.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I do happen to really like the vinyl plank stuff they have now. Like I used to always think tile was the best. And honestly, from everything I've seen, that vinyl plank, it looks great.
Yeah,
It looks so much better than some of the tile. And the labor involved is just so much less than tile.
Yeah, for example, when it comes to glue down, we can do like an 800 square foot apartment unit. I can do about 8 of those in one day on glue down. So that's a lot of square footage that we can do in one day. So that's how fast it goes with the glue down.
So you're doing basically 1 hour, the unit is done.
Yeah, so I could take if you give me a whole floor and they're around 700 to 800 square feet, I can knock out in one day 8 units in one shot.
Wow, that's really good. That's fast.
Yeah, we got good guys.
Excellent. Any closing thoughts or anything you want people to take away from this so they can be the best flooring knowledge owners in the world?
Hey, so when you're doing renovations, the only thing I can think of here is to follow an order. A lot of people just throw floor in there and they haven't even painted. So the way that I like to look at it is you do the demo, you take care of all your mechanical and electric and plumbing, right? You want to do your framing, you rebuild everything back up, texture walls. Then you want to install your trim for you and your doors. Then you want to do your interior paint, doors, walls, trims, whatever. Then you want to install your cabinets and tops. Then you install your tile. Then you install your flooring. Like say your shower tile, backsplash, whatever. Then you install your flooring. Then you install your baseboards. And then you have to have your painter come again to kind of do a second paint. Then you do your trim for electrical and plumbing, and then your appliances, and then final paint touch up, you're done. So if you follow that kind of a path, basically those steps like that, then your flooring won't get ruined. If because if you throw it in there, like for example, I just went to a place and they wanted carpet done now, but I walked in there was nothing done, absolutely nothing. So the walls weren't painted, nothing was done, it was filthy. They just wanted the carpets down. It was like, okay. But then again, your painter's going to come in there, they're going to paint, they're going to mess up your carpet. There's just no point. So why spend the money and doing that when it's going to get ruined? But that's all I can really think of. But do you have any other questions?
That's actually a worthwhile one, because I've seen plenty of flooring that was brand new, looked beautiful, and then you get to do it all over again.
I know we've had that a lot of times in new construction. The GCs want to save time, and they put down the baseboard before the floors. So then you lay down your flooring, and then you either have to put it right up against it, or you're going to see this gap. And then a lot of times we can't get it perfect because the walls, as you know, no wall's perfect. So they'll be like that. So then you have little gaps here and there. Then they end up having to put shoe mold, and they didn't want that. Or then you got to ask them, look, lift up the base just a tad so we can at least try to fit it in a little bit. And then it's always like a back and forth with they're just trying to save money, and I understand. They don't want to pay the painter twice to come in there. See what I mean? They put the baseboard in, they want to pay the painter to paint all of it at once. That makes sense. That makes sense. But it kind of hurts you on the other end too, because your flooring, should go, should go down, and then your baseboards go on top of it. It makes it look a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. That's the idea.
Jan, thank you very much for taking time to share all your knowledge after many, many, many thousands of units with the flooring. I really appreciate it. This is good insights.
Thank you. Thank
and
you
I will make sure we share your website and your contact info on links below and at our website. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. Have a good one.